Andy Flower knows those players well. He's understood that ecosystem. He knows the talent that there is. Why don't we get a nice tempered opinion from you, Andy? Because we don't get that often from our friendly neighbours. Give me your thoughts on Pakistan's campaign.
Yeah, so they made some quite radical changes just prior to the World Cup. They brought Babar back as captain and relegated the Shaheen Afridi, the star quick bowler, back to the ranks. They also brought Imad Wasim back in from the wilderness, along with Mohammad Amir. So big changes just prior to the tournament starting. But I think those changes should have strengthened their side. Imad Wasim is quite a performer, so is Mohammad Amir. So they have underperformed badly. What a tough start for Gary Kirsten as coach. Coming in afresh, obviously couldn't mould the side, or he didn't have the time to mould the side into a unit that he would fully understand. They would understand him. But an incredibly tough start for him. And they have been found wanting. They looked as if they were panicking, not only when they're under severe pressure, but even just in normal competitive cricketing situations. They looked like they were panicking a little in the field and with the ball and with the bat. So they've got a lot of work to do. Gary Kirsten's got a lot of work to do to get them back on track. It will be, of course, interesting to see what the fallout from the poor World Cup campaign will be, because usually there is.
Yeah, we know, and that's something we want to wait and see now. What do you expect the fallout to be, and what should Pakistan cricket keep in mind now? Because they have a history of making emotional decisions at the back of these kind of disappointing tournament shows.
Well, I think the first thing probably will happen is Babar might get sacked as a captain
again.
Yeah, probably again.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's the next one in line, because they went to Shaheen Afridi. They just gave him one opportunity after he's won couple of PSL, and after that they reinstated back Babar. That's the first thing probably will happen. I don't think they picked the right 11 or probably the right squad going into this tournament, because I followed a bit of PSL. They had Usama Mir, who was a very good leg spinner, and they picked Shadab. Shadab is a good all-rounder though, but he's struggling with his bowling form, I thought. And that's where they didn't get decent result in the middle overs, that control that you need from a spinner. So I thought they didn't pick him. Abrar, another mystery spinner, I thought he's pretty good. They didn't play him a single game. They needed a power hitter at the start.
Don't you sense more of the problems were batting related though?
I think so. I think the bowling has been sorted. They bowled really well. It's just the one spinner, I thought, because Imad obviously has strengthened, like Andy said. Imad and Amir has strengthened that side. But they needed somebody to bowl decent in the middle overs, the spinner, which I think they could have done with Usama Mir or maybe playing Abrar. That's where I think they lacked. And that power, I don't think Fakhar Zaman's number 4 position is his position. He needed to be at the top of the order. One of the Babar or Rizwan can bat at number 3. The middle order hasn't fired. That's been a problem. They rely very heavily on Babar and Rizwan, but they are not an exclusive, explosive openers. They are not 6-hitter batters. We've seen in the USA game, they only got 33 in the power play. So they were behind in the game. So that's where the problem, and they need to look into that, especially in this format.
The flip side was we don't need 6-hitter batters, as we saw in New York. And this perhaps was the more likely chance that they could have indicated Rizwan and Babar had they managed the chase against India. They not messed up the USA game. So this has almost cancelled out even the argument in favour of the kind of batters that they are. Can they persist with this same group going forward, especially with the likes of Rizwan and Babar at the top?
Rizwan and Babar, I think they need to split them. I would say one of them can bat at number 3. Like I said, Fakhar at the opening. Not every condition is going to be like that. They play in Pakistan, which is a very batting friendly conditions. Saim Ayub is another one. They need to look at him also. They've given him an opportunity, but he's not fired. Azam Khan, who's got terrific record in league cricket, but he's not transformed that form into international cricket. And they've asked him to keep the wickets, because obviously they can't hide him in the field. Rizwan was the better keeper, they couldn't keep him. So those kind of decisions have hampered Pakistan, I would say.
All right, it's more than a 5-7 minute discussion. But Andy, if you have to start, let's say you have to build a roadmap from now till the 2026 T20 World Cup, which will be in far friendlier batting conditions in India and Sri Lanka, and they also put themselves in a slight fix, don't they? With the way their captaincy has been handled. Can you go back to Shaheen? Can you give it to Shadab when his own form's under the scanner? Same with Rizwan. How would you like Pakistan to address, what's the first step as they address now perhaps a rebuilding towards 2026, and what is Babar Azam's role and position in T20I cricket in that cycle?
Well, I think all of those points that you brought up are good ones. I would agree wholeheartedly with Wes in that Shadab's form over the last 12 to 18 months with the ball has been average. You know, he's an excellent cricketer. He does all three things really well. Bowls leg spin, and he can hit the ball, and he's a brilliant fielder. But he's been underperforming with the ball, and his primary role is with the ball. So Usama Mir would be a contender for that place, no doubt. I think Abrar is also a really good mystery-type bowler, and they are worth their weight in gold in T20 cricket. As far as the leadership is concerned, that would put him out of the running, in my opinion, because he's not doing his primary job well enough. I don't think they will go back to Shaheen Shah Afridi, which leaves Baba and Rizwan as the option. Rizwan, I think, is an excellent leader of men. He's got a big heart. He's got ample integrity, and people follow him. And so I think he is an option for them. Of course, Baba they could continue with. And I would imagine Gary Kirsten will have been watching and listening and communicating with these guys and really trying to understand the dynamics at play in the dressing room, on the training ground, and out there in the middle. So, because that is a huge decision. Whenever you're choosing the captain of a cricket side, it's a huge decision. They are so important in so many ways. As the sort of moral compass of the team, as role models, and as decision makers. They're making thousands of decisions every game. They're making decisions at training. So that's a huge decision, and Gary Kirsten will have been watching and learning, and he needs to get that decision as right as possible. You can't get it perfect, but he can get it as right as possible. So I think those are the two candidates in my mind for the captaincy, moving ahead.
Andy, you will always know more than me, but I just can't help but think, going back to that super over against the US, Rizwan as captain, did you see those slightly out of place throws? I mean, does he have the temperament to actually keep things calm, which is what you need in Pakistan cricket right now, or will he work on that?
Well, look, I can see you giggling inside as you ask that question, and I do know what you mean. But ironically, when I've worked with him as captain, I think the captaincy does bring out the best in him. And he is quite calm when he's captaining the side. I think he smiles in pressure situations. I think people follow him with courage, and he's not afraid to take risks. So I think he is a credible candidate. I've seen him captain. I've been in the dressing room. I've heard him talk to his players. I'm not saying that he's a better captain than Baba, because I've never experienced Baba's leadership. But Rizwan could do it. I do, however, agree with Wasim in that they should really split those two right-handers up. You know, those two have done amazing things for Pakistan with the bat and as a partnership in the past, over the past decade. But I think splitting them up makes sense. If you want to, especially if you get a left-hander to open the batting with one foot and the other one to sweep. That makes a lot of sense.
Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
वॉचो ऐप पे देखो एक OTT के दाम पे सारे OTT शान से।
Watch